Hey everybody, this is Zack, and today, as always, I am here with my co-host and friend, Dr. Matt Hanauer, live on the Triangle Tennis Podcast. Matt, why don't you tell the finest audience east of the Mississippi where we are and what's going on today?
Unfortunately, we are not at Hollow Rock. That was the initial idea, was for this to be at Hollow Rock, and we were hoping to do a live segment there, but as many of you know, the weather has not cooperated with us at all, so we are in our homes going to be talking a little bit about some of the matches. We had a couple of really fun matches that we want to talk about. And then also talking a lot about tournament prep. We've got what Zack calls I can't remember what he calls it. There's the Triangle Slam, I believe. And
the Triangle Grand Slam, of course. It's not that I call it that, Matt. It simply is what it is. It's Hollow Rock, of course. It's the Chapel Hill Tennis Club. Yep. It's Raleigh Racket Club. And lastly, but certainly not leastly, it's the Carrie Summer Sizzle.
You've got all these big tournaments coming up, and how do you prepare, not like a pro, because we're not pros, how do you prepare a middle-aged, maybe slightly overweight person? That's a big difference. We are, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
We're here for that.
Matt, let's just dive in right there, because in my mind, pros, they just sit around all day playing tennis, thinking about tennis, doing tennis-related stuff, eating healthy and blah, blah, blah. After watching the first season of Breakpoint, it kind of realized, oh man, they have a lot of nonsense sponsor commitments and stuff like that. And so I tell myself is that our day jobs, it's just like the pros having to deal with sponsor stuff, essentially.
It's the exact same thing.
The sponsors allow them to make lots and lots of money. Our day jobs allow us to at least buy a new set of strings every now and then. And so how do I prep? I try as early as possible to get out of work mode and into either relaxation or tennis mode. I find if I get too up, I'm too excited, I'm too amped up, too far before the match, I come out kind of flat and it saps my energy. So I just try and get in sort of a calm state, hydrate a lot, try not to eat any crappy food, no fast food in a couple days before a tournament, anything like that. And that's sort of my go-to staples. What about you?
I go in and out of work mode and tennis mode pretty easily, so that's not too big of an issue.
How do you do that, Matt? Because for me, if I get a work-related text, I'm out of tennis mode for minimum 30 minutes or an hour. So I don't look at my phone when I play.
So that's one thing. That's a trick. I never look at my phone when I play. It's really nice. I know some guys do it. I wouldn't suggest it. Oh, I remember now. My biggest thing was trying not to play at least 4 days and not lifting a couple of days before, because I know I'm going to be sore.
So wait, so you will not play for 4 days prior to a tournament?
My arm I've only got so much in my arm. I've got a limited amount of bandwidth on the serve. I won't play I try not to play for a couple of days. When I do tournaments, I usually don't lift. If I do lift, I'll do a light session or do some stretching. But that's my biggest thing before. I try not to eat too much junk food, but I'm not great about that. So
I will tell you, there's one thing weight-wise in particular I will not do in the full week leading up to a tournament. It's any above-head weight lifting. So bench, overhead press, all that stuff. I've just found it makes my shoulder a little bit too... there's risk in tennis with your shoulder 100% of the time because of the serve motion and how repetitive it is. And I just find that those make me feel more sore. I have less stability. And this is all pseudoscience. You should, of course, ask an actual doctor about this kind of stuff, not Zack and Matt here. Matt is a doctor, not that kind of doctor. I'm just a guy. But for me, I have found that my shoulder responds poorly to those weights, followed by a lot of match play. I don't think
that's unreasonable advice. No one's going to get hurt not lifting, so I think that's fair. I definitely don't do leg stuff before a tournament, because I need my legs. That's probably my biggest thing more than anything is having sore legs. So I need those to be fresh.
That's the thing that I like the most about tournaments, is that when I play a league match and you walk away tired but more or less fine the next day, if you play a tournament, especially if you're doing 2 events and it's in the summer, you got noodle legs for 3 days. But we're going to come back to that one in a little bit. I want to transition really quickly to some of the players that we thought were having good runs. Obviously the tournament didn't get completed. It's nobody's fault. Weather, act of God, act of Bob, act of whatever. But there were a few matches that were able to go on, and there were some really, really good ones. Matt, what were the matches that jumped out the most?
So I didn't get to watch it, but just from hearing, and I did hear firsthand from Jackson, the Jackson-Craig match was probably one of the best ones, with pouring rain and having another. I think they've played 3 or 4 times, and it's gone to similar results each time. But yeah, I don't know given that much rain, I think I just would have called it. I don't know if I would have kept playing, but it seemed like they were just ready to finish. So that's always difficult when it's about to get rained out and you're looking around like, are we still playing tennis? And then you lose your concentration. And then, like, what happened? Sometimes you double fault or you make a dumb error. So I've been in that situation where I played matches where I was kind of in between calling it. So that's just a difficult spot. But that was probably one of the best matches. Yeah,
absolutely. I didn't know that Mark could write like that. But speaking of, I just want to give a quick shout out to Mark. He's been doing something in one of our GroupMe chats where he will pull all of the players and their start times and whether it's singles or doubles and send out like this one big text to the group. It's awesome. I don't know if that is now something that Mark is going to have to do until the end of time, but I really hope that somebody does because it's helpful to kind of like plan my day around like, okay, like if you're in a tournament, of course you want to see some other folks' matches. I didn't get over there this weekend because all my matches got rained out, and my plan was to pop over 2 hours before whatever my first one was. Never happened. But you can plan a schedule that way, and it makes it so much easier. And it's also just fun to see how many people from the Triangle are playing in.
Yeah, that's what I did. I used his schedule to plan my day out because I wasn't playing. So I wasn't getting up before 9, so anything before 9 wasn't happening. So I saw Jackson was the first singles, so I went there and stayed there till about 1:30. I had something else to do, and I was going to come back at 6 because I saw your guys' was at 6. But I'm going to take the mantle up for Wilmington since I'm not playing, and I'm going to go ahead and take that responsibility from Mark from Wilmington.
You're a good man, and Mark is as well. We strive to promote good dudeliness and just good personhood, really, on the Triangle Tennis Podcast, and Mark certainly did that there. Another match that I want to talk about, because I played both guys involved, our buddy Brett Compton, who anyone who plays in the Triangle knows Brett. He is one of the nicest guys in the area, and he is just an incredible player, and he's so smart and so disciplined on the court, and he's crafty and wily, and he's not going to crush the ball, but you look up and you're like, I just lost the set 6-1. How did that happen? And it happened so fast. He played a guy named John Hereford, who I believe is on a 60-plus match winning streak in 4-0 singles. I lost to him in 3 at Hollow Rock last year, and I want to talk a little bit about John, because he beat Brett pretty good. Pretty decisively. I think it was 2-2, right? See, Brett Compton at 4-0 is really not supposed to lose.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like Brett is like I think Brett gets wins.
He does.
4-5.
He has gotten wins on my
right
team.
now.
He's gotten multiple wins on our Raleigh team. Yeah, on Spencer and I's Raleigh team.
So you've got a guy who's getting wins at 4-5, getting beat 2-2 by a guy who's on a 60-plus match singles winning streak, and so John, like I said, we had a great match. And when I looked him up before, I noticed that he had won an unusual amount of tournament matches. He won 20-plus singles tournaments at 4-0 in 2023. The dude is a machine. And I'm always fascinated by guys like this because quiet guy, pretty nice guy, solid game. And I don't know if tennis is just his hobby or his outlet or what, but I'm amazed when I see somebody who can even play in 20-plus tournaments in a season, let alone win all of them. And then also the psychology of, and he didn't get bumped. And he doesn't want to play up. What's the deal? I get having one good year at a dominant year at one level, and then you're supposed to go up to the next one. Matt, what do you think about him not playing 4-5 after winning 20-something tournaments at singles?
So what I was saying with Daniel Marchek, and this is like, from Daniel Marchek, from someone else, from Nick, who's I think it starts with the name of the B. It's kind of a big shot in USTA NC. I forget his last name, but he was saying that they've looked into it. Oh, go ahead.
He played. I think him and Ryan. Yeah.
I can't remember his last name.
I always forget his last name as well.
I would pronounce it wrong, but I don't even remember it. So he doesn't even get that. From what I heard is that there's nothing they can do to bump him because he doesn't play USTA. The way your ratings are, they're only on USTA matches apparently. So there's nothing they can do. But I mean, if that's what the guy wants to do, that's fine. I would love to see him challenge himself and go to 4-5. But if maybe his job's really challenging. Like for example, I only play video games on like easy or normal mode because life is hard, and I want to go there and just annihilate everything. I don't want to think that much. So maybe that's his outlet. This is like easy mode for him, and that's what he wants to do.
I can see that. If it were me, my assumption is he just likes the trophies because look, I'm 32, too old I think to be openly into getting
Yeah.
trophies, but there's nothing cooler than getting at the end of a tennis tournament where you played somewhere between, pretty well and very well, a little trophy with the person holding a racket,
have 'em. I have 'em
made
up
out of
there.
plastic. I
Yep.
got mine right behind me. I will also say that was one of the most fun matches that I had in all of 2023 was against John Hereford. I mean, again, he's not rude. He's not a nasty guy. He's quiet, but he's a nice guy, and he just hits deep with good pace from corner to corner all day and doesn't miss. And he's got a good net game too. I would like to see him play it before 5 because I want to play him again.
Well, I don't think you'll ever get the chance.
I still have a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that USTA can't seem to find a way to bump this guy.
The loophole.
Because, you know what? Shout out to John
we found the
Hereford for finding a loophole. We love loopholes in this show. That's great. And also, if anyone is listening who plays him, you're going to have a really fun match. He's a great player. He's going to bring it out in you. I let out some of the loudest come-ons and some of the loudest fucks that I've ever let out in a tournament setting when I played him. All right, so moving things along here, Matt. Were there any other matches that we wanted to talk about before we get into?
Let's see. I'm just thinking of the ones I watched. I watched Jackson and Jaron play Lawrence and Joaquin. They had a really good first set. And then the second set, Jaron and Jackson really stepped it up. But that was a very fun first set. Joaquin had a missed tweener, then he had a tweener he hit in. But unfortunately, Lawrence just couldn't connect on the volley. So they almost won the tweener point. So that was really exciting. But let's see. And I watched Kevin and Skeet win just a little bit. And they look solid. But I didn't get a chance to watch much more, which was disappointing. But yeah, it was great to chat with people. I got to meet Ben Redmond, who I forgot went to Indiana, so that was really exciting. I finally got to meet the guy. I talked about Bloomington, so that was really exciting. I got to talk to a lot of people there, so it was just fun to see everybody at Hollow Rock. Everyone's very nice. I met a guy named Don, who's at Hollow Rock, older dude, played college.
Did you hit him up? To get off the wait list?
I tried to. I mentioned that I was on the wait. I thought about wearing a shirt that said I'm on the wait list, and just so everybody was clear that I'm on the wait list and that I'm interested in being in there.
To our award-winning listeners, if you are somehow involved in letting people into Hollow Rock, both Matt and I, we'll play on your team.
I'll captain your team.
Matt will babysit.
Yeah, I'll babysit. Yeah,
cat sit, whatever. Anything to get us in a little sooner. And to be clear, at least for me, the why is nothing other than I need the clay courts for my body. The hard courts in the summer are hard, and I feel real angst over going from being a public court guy to joining a club. But I need the clay courts, and until we get public clay courts, which is a social justice issue, by the way, that's the only
I have
only
no
option
angst.
that I've got. Matt,
I have no
what's the why
angst.
for you?
It's for the clay courts, and then having just a court. I'm just tired of not having courts. And unlike you, I'm not willing to go to 20,000 community events to maybe get a hard court resurfaced. So I just don't have the patience. But so that's really where I'm at. I have no angst about it. I'm gonna still play on public courts and play with everyone, and I don't think a lot will change other than I'll probably try and bring them more there to play on clay. And I like the place. I like the guys. It's a cool place. Even my wife, she thinks tennis is stupid, and she went to Hollow Rock, and she's like, "Oh, this place seems pretty cool." So yeah,
that's great. A couple other matches I want to talk about really quickly. So Daniel Marchek and Sergei Pirog had a really solid first round match. You would like to see that one. Daniel ended up getting the win 7-5 and 6-3, but on clay, stylistically, that's a pretty fun one because Daniel, he's got a kind of a funky style. He can hit all these different shots, and Sergei is such a solid power baseliner. I think his game probably favors the hard courts a little bit, but that's one that I know I'm sure there were some great points and a lot of fun moments. And then the last one for me also is Todd Resley and Justin Akonful had a pretty epic three-setter. Oh, nice. Todd won the first 6-4, Justin won the second 6-2, and then Justin won the breaker 11-9. So I don't know if this is true about Todd, but I was told after he beat me in a league match that he's a marathon runner.
Oh,
and
that's
certainly
high.
After losing to him in a league match, it felt like he was a marathon runner because the dude didn't even look tired for a second. So really good win for Justin.
I didn't know it was that Todd. Yeah. No, he didn't look tired after he played you at all. He looked like he could go run another 10 miles. Yeah.
No. He's a lefty. A lefty
yes.
marathon runner. That's just mean. That's mean-spirited and to trot that guy out at singles too.
That was rough.
We had a fun match.
He's a good dude. Yeah.
You know that Stuart and I didn't lose a single point.
I didn't lose one either. That's crazy. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Neither
Wow.
of us. Yeah.
Good on us.
It was really good.
Just back
Yeah.
us here.
I mean,
Oh,
as
I am really
yeah,
bummed.
it was a bummer, yeah.
Stuart and I we had a practice match against Reed and Chris Giordano at the Chapel Hill Tennis
cool.
Club on Thursday night to get ready. We're in pretty good form, and I think we're gonna have a really good match against Kwame and Kwame.
There's
and Ezra.
nothing stopping you from scheduling
what
that.
can you do?
Like,
hey, well, if Kwame and Ezra, if y'all are listening,
I mean, just
let's see if
post
we make it
something
happen.
in the ladder chat. I think they're both in there. That would be.
Yeah. The only way this match is going to happen is if they listen to this podcast and then accept the challenge. This is what Taylor Swift does, right? You just leave little like breadcrumbs in your art, which is what this podcast is for you and me, Matthew, Dr. Matt, and see if things happen as a result of those breadcrumbs in your art.
Sure,
yeah,
it could happen.
Offer extended. Would love to play those guys.
Great match.
Kwame and I played in a tournament before. He's
good.
Really fun to play.
He's good. He's very good. Doesn't miss a lot. He hits a lot of really good volley angles, which would have been nasty on clay.
I can be a little bit of a hater of the one-handed backhand, but his is pretty darn smooth.
He has a one-handed backhand?
Am I thinking of the right person?
I think so. I thought he had two-handed backhand. I think we're talking about the same person. You just may have not recognized his backhand.
I feel like that's a pretty bad one to not recognize for how many hands they're using for it. Did I miss it? Does he have a two-handed backhand? I'm definitely thinking about the right person.
So.
Oh, well, that's a bad.
Yeah.
Yikes. Well, folks, that's the thing about getting older.
Yeah,
your memory starts to go. Your eyes. I do wear glasses, and
we'll see. I
thought it was a solid backhand either way, one or two hands.
When you play again, we'll see who's right. It's been a while since I played him.
It would be so messed up if he made the switch between the last. Like if he had a one-hander when I played him, now he had a two-hander. By the way, to all you one-handed backhand folks listening, have you ever thought about putting a second hand on the racket? It really helps. Just food for thought.
I tried. I mean, maybe now that I'm playing a lot right-handed, I could give it a shot. I just can't quite get it. I don't know. I don't disagree with you. It would be good to have both because I get more range, but I can't hit my backhand hard.
Yeah. I think in the modern game, it's really tough to have a one-handed backhand. Because like when I see a one-handed backhand and I have a Western grip in my forehand and a decent enough kick serve, I just think to myself, oh, great. I'm going to hit spinny forehands to his backhand and kick serves to his backhand all match, and then I'm going to come in behind them and I'm going to feast. And look, it doesn't always go according to plan, but I don't think those things against somebody with a two-handed backhand.
I think the problem is we're adult rec tennis, so it's just you're not changing a lot of habits at this point. You're not going from a one-hander to two-hander. You're not going to spend a whole summer working on that. So you have the tools you have. You can make a few adjustments here and there, get in a little better shape, but it's about trying not to get worse. That's really the goal.
Go with me on this, Matt. Let's imagine, because I think you're right. I think for me, I'm not making really any major changes to my game unless an injury dictates that I do that. But if I were to, how would I go about doing that? So let's imagine you, Matt Hanauer, Dr. Matt Hanauer, we're going to switch from a one-handed to a two-handed backhand. How long do you think it would take you, and what would that process be? How would you make that happen?
At least 6 months minimum. You'd need a ball machine because you'd have to practice. You just have to you'd have to get that muscle memory. Like the one-hander just feels right, and the forehand just feels right. It's like when I'm hitting with my right hand. When I did it first, it's just like this is nasty. Like something's wrong here. Like why am I doing this? But after I've hit in the ball machine, it's starting to feel more natural. But still, even my right-handed backhand, my right-handed forehand, I'd still take my left-handed one-hander over it. So I think it would take like 6 months. Ball machine, at least 4 to 5 months on the ball machine. I think it would take 100 matches to get it to where it's actually better than my one-handed forehand at least. So I don't know how long that would take, but
that's probably a multi-year process to switch your stroke like that. Yeah, but
I don't know.
It really hammers home your point, right? Which is, does anybody want to choose to be worse for 100+ matches to make a change that might not even result in them getting
maybe
better?
it'll make you marginally better.
Probably not.
I mean, maybe you'll get up.
Yeah.
Like for me, it could get me to, I think, upper mid tier. Like I'm a mid low tier 5, and it would put me in the upper mid 4-5, or that's what I meant, so 4-5. But that's not a sacrifice. Like that's just not worth it.
Yeah, I think the way I think about the calendar year and my improvement is that you want to peak in the middle and end of the spring season, right?
Yeah.
So I always start off by playing pretty regularly by the end of January, early February. And then I play pretty much just focus on winning matches until the end of the spring season. Summer singles comes along, and I think that's, you want to focus on winning matches, but a lot of that is just fitness.
It's so hot.
Because if you're getting out there in July, like, yeah, technique's not the reason you're going to win or lose. It's did you drink enough water and can you run, And then the fall, and this is why I tend to play fewer combo leagues. The fall to me is about really developing new strokes or new shots, right? And I don't mean like changing from a one-handed to a two-handed backhand, but if you've got a decent backhand, you want that shot where you put a little bit more spin and kind of roll it cross court. That's a great time to add that shot to your arsenal and focus more on drills than match play, or put yourself in situations where it's match play, but you're playing to develop a shot rather than get the win. But the spring and the summer, it's all about those W's, which as somebody who's 1-9 has been a little tough.
I probably have singles last year I won a lot, but I've really enjoyed. I love combo doubles is my favorite. I do love singles. Yeah, I guess I do love singles, but combo doubles is just really fun. You get a new dynamic playing with someone. You get to play as the, I don't know if alpha and the betas, right? Like, when you're the 4-5, or like last year when I was the 4-0, like I was, you get to be in charge. And then when you're the 4-0, you play a little, or the 4, in whatever situation you play a little back, which is always fun to see that combination. But yeah, I don't know. I've always had a good time. I think it's a good. Summer is a lot. You're playing singles, tri-level. Some people are playing mixed, and so combo, you're just playing doubles. So it can be a nice break after that summer singles where you just tear your body apart.
Yeah. All right, before we get into the next section, let's talk about the match at Hollow Rock you most would have liked to see that got rained out. Is there any that jumps out to you, Matt?
I just would have loved to see whoever was in it, the finals of the 4-5 dubs would have been really fun. I think that would have been really high-level doubles with, I think, a lot of East End guys in there, which would have been fun.
Yeah, Stuart and I were really looking forward to taking home that trophy. They can send it to us
Yeah,
if
I
they
think
want,
that would be fine.
But
I think that's fine.
No, look, Daniel and Justin, that's
tough.
a pretty lethal combo. They Jackson and Jaron, of course, can't ever count those guys out. They can make it happen. We already talked about the folks that Stuart and I were supposed to play in round one. They would have been a ton of fun. Ton of fun. For me, I think it probably would have been Raymond Zhu and John Hereford in 4-0 singles. Yeah. I would have liked to see Josh Lumber get another crack at John. Josh was bringing a ton of serve and volley action against John Hereford in Greensboro a few months back. Yeah, he gave him a pretty good run there, and I think if anybody's got the game to get over the hump, and especially on clay, I think it's Josh. He's such a good athlete. He's got great hands, like good range. That could have been really fun. Or
Stuart playing John Hereford. I think that would have been good too. Not that they were going to play. These are just imaginary matches. I'm going to imaginary matches now, but anyways.
I thought that was going to be the likeliest final there. I was pretty convinced that Josh and Stuart, I'm biased because I'm playing with Josh next week, and Stuart was going to be my partner in 4-5. I thought those guys were going to win 4-0 for sure.
Think so,
They're just playing great. Yeah. I will say, anytime Gabe Dichter's involved, you never know what's going to happen. That dude can play. Soft hands. He's over at
one of those dudes. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Really good hands.
Nice.
All right, well, let's get into it. Matt, anything to plug?
I have to plug that apparently I've been saying diadem wrong. Apparently it's diadem, not diadem. I was told. Yeah, go ahead.
So I just want to make sure I understand this. The company that sponsors, that you're a rep for, that gives you your own special discount code. The folks, what is that again, Matt? What's the discount code?
It's my phone number.
Okay, so the company that again gives you your own special discount code that is your phone number is pronounced how?
Diadem. They told me diadem. I remember asking her. I was like, "Hey, is it diadem or diadem?" And she said diadem. And then we were told by apparently someone who is more of a diadem diehard than me that we met the other night. That's pronounced diadem hard. I can't get it right. Diadem. That is pronounced like that. Jesus. So.
Diadem. Who gives a shit? It's the same quality, but it costs less. And that's the read for diadem. Diadem.
Diadem, like die.
Diadem.
Die.
Diadem. Okay. I'm gonna diadem if we have to keep talking about this. For the plug that I want to give, the read is Swing Vision. Have you ever thought, wow, I sure would like to have that shot that I just hit on a tennis court on the internet for forever? Have you also ever thought, I sure would like to see that whiffed overhead that my friend or partner didn't hit again after a match? Well, now you can make that happen with Swing Vision. It's a fantastic app. It costs a little bit too much. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, it's expensive. It costs way too much, in fact. The 4K option? Come on. Who in their right mind is going to get that one? Granted, I am thinking about it, but it's an excellent product, and some things are worth paying for. And you know what? If you have a rational relationship with tennis and your finances, you're probably not listening to this podcast, but if you are listening, it's worth it. It's worth it. It sucks. It hurts. It's a lump sum, too, so it's an annual fee. Those are way... Just like Tennis Channel, which I don't know why tennis does that with other shit, but it really is a good product. And it's the only social media app that I use that makes me happy. Me and Mark Scher will just go in and we'll just heart each other's matches sometimes. We'll just give it a round of applause.
I didn't know
and
there's
that's all
a
it is.
community around
it's great.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Also, you learn so much more from watching your buddy at 4-0 or 4-5 than you do from watching the pros. I can't relate watching the pros. I don't get better watching them play. I get dumber watching them play, because I can't do the things they do. So anyway, get Swing Vision. Watch your friends play. Have some fun.
If the people at Swing
highlights.
Vision are listening, I would like to tell them it's only on iPhone, so there are some folks who maybe would like Swing Vision but can't access it because they don't have iPhone. So that would put that on the roadmap if anyone from Swing Vision is listening.
Moving on. So we've got Wilmington coming up in a couple weeks. We've got an incomplete Hollow Rock, and we've got the end of the spring season happening all at the same time, right? So my question to you, Matt, is what is the biggest difference between league matches and tournament matches in your mind?
Yeah, I think tournament. Well, league matches, one, you've got a team, so yeah, it sucks if you lose, but you can still win even if you lose. Because there's been some cases where you may need to stack, and maybe you throw somebody at singles who doesn't play singles, but you need somebody else. So there could be some sacrificial matches where you're not going to win, and that's okay, and that's a fine outcome. Tournament, you always want to win, do your best. And then obviously the preparation, like we just talked about, you don't need to, you should, I'm still lifting and I'm playing the day before if there's a league match. I don't want to play 3 or 4 days in a row, but knowing that, and then there's just much more certainty with league matches. It's going to be here, and then if it's not, you're going to schedule it at a time that works for you. Tournaments, you generally don't know when they're going to be. They could be rain, and then you have to try and play them. And there's a lot more uncertainty with tournaments. So, yeah.
You've got a little bit better stamina than me, so I think this is where it really this dominates my thoughts about tournaments, is the difference physically.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when you're doing two events, I like tournaments more because of that. You can get away with being out of shape in most league matches. If you prepare well, you're probably not going to cramp up in a league match. Granted, I have in July against Jackson, so come on. But, that's happened. I cramp up all the time in tournaments. Because when you're on match number 3 of the day, even if you've been ripping your waters and your Gatorades and your special electrolyte pills and whatever, you're just drained. And so I like the multiple matches in that short amount of time, and I like how that changes the game. Because, if you are playing somebody who's better than you, and they went 3 sets, and you had a pretty fast 2 sets in your first match, you might surprise some people. And there are so many more variables in a tournament. I also just like the fact that it's a bunch of people who love tennis that aren't getting paid to be there, hanging out, talking tennis, playing tennis, and watching tennis. And I feel like there's a real community around tournaments. And there's some of that in league, but it's more team-based than broad community-based to me. There's also a lot more beer involved. People are ripping the kegs starting 4 o'clock at tournaments. That's always kind of fun. If it's a Wilmington tournament, they start at 10 in the morning. But in the Triangle, we try and wait until at least the late afternoon.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just I just love certainty. So I just love knowing this is what I'm going to play, and this is how many matches. I know for the next 8 weeks, 9 weeks when I'm going to play each night. It's great. So a tournament, it's that's your whole weekend. Yeah. So that's my biggest thing that why I don't play a lot of tournaments is okay, I have to give up that entire weekend because I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, that is the one downside. Tournaments are tough on a tougher on the marriage than than a league match. So Sarah and we went out on Friday night for dinner.
We did too.
As soon as I saw that I wasn't playing until Saturday, I was like, okay, great. We'll go out on Friday night and then figure out schedule Saturday, Sunday. For most tournaments, if you're playing on Friday night, there's no, we can, we as a unit can go out together this night. You can't make plans, and that's really hard. That's really hard. That's why, again, when I see somebody who plays like 23 tournaments in a year, I'm like, okay, I don't know.
You have to, a lot of times, especially if you're traveling, you have to take Friday off. That's 20 days a year. That's 20 PTO days. I don't know how many PTO days I get, but I can't get a ton more than 20. Maybe I have 30 tops. I don't know. Yeah. That's all my time off.
Well, Matt, if you get creative with a few call-in six and maybe flat tire or two, you can juice it and get there. But yeah, that's a
lot of time off that you're having to. Yes, a lot of. I mean, you're basically doing 4-day work weeks, which is great. Maybe that's what he does. Maybe he has a 4-day work or own their own business. Like you'd have to own your own business to be doing something like that. You couldn't work a 9-to-5 job.
As a podcast, are we pro 4-day work week?
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure. Yeah. You know what? I'm pro anything that leads to people hanging out more and working less. More hanging out, less work. That's probably bad for our GDP. I think they keep coming out with study after study. You get more time off. Think of if you've ever had a hard problem. This could be tennis or work or related. The best thing you can do is if you can't solve something is go take a walk. Like trying to put your head down and grind through it is going to take you a lot longer. Or I don't know about you. All my best ideas come at 3 a.m. All my best ideas come at 3 a.m. You shut your brain off. You give it a second to rest. And that could be true for tennis too. You're like, man, I just don't know how am I going to beat this guy? How am I going to win this match? Go take a walk. It's the best thing. And that is the beauty of singles. There is no taking a walk. There is no getting coaching. It's just you by yourself trying to figure it out in a set of conditions that make it harder to figure it out.
You can still take taking instead of rushing after a changeover if you're pissed. Take the full 90 seconds. Take a second to breathe. Take some more time in between points. Look, instead of focusing on losing, look at your racket. There's a bunch of little tricks and tips that Brad Gilbert's Winning Ugly has a bunch of that stuff.
Do you think people take advantage of their changeover time enough? Or do you, because I see guys rushing in league and tournaments. Almost everybody rushes. I rarely see somebody take the full, you get a minute and a half, right?
But yeah, I mean, and no one's gonna, you take anywhere between 1 and 2 minutes.
I am guilty of this sometimes where I won't sit down. In fact, most of the
time
I don't
sit down.
I just I'll take
what?
No, I'll take a bite of a protein bar and I'll take a swig of water and I'll kind of move my feet a little bit and then go to the other side.
Oh man!
And that's probably
sitting
dumb,
my ass
right?
down,
after
the first game. You're not even supposed to. I am sitting down. I bought I don't have it with me. I bought a fan. I just bought a fan, a little portable fan, and this thing can blow fast. I'm putting that all over me for all 90 seconds.
If you're beating somebody and you get that portable fan, that's just like giving them a paper cut and spraying salt and lemon water into it. That's so mean to beat somebody while you fan yourself.
I don't care.
Like you're at Disney World on one of those little scooters.
It gets hot there too. It's hot. You gotta take care of yourself.
I love it. So you prefer
yes,
league matches?
Yes, strong preference. I won't do a tournament. I would have done Hollow Rock because it's close, and I know a lot of people were doing it. I'll do Wilmington because it's I was, but I'll still go because I know it was kind of a weekend hangout thing. I'll do those kinds of things if everyone's doing it, but just a random tournament with 4 or 5 guys that I know doing it, that doesn't really interest me.
Yeah. Do you ever play 2 events in tournaments?
I
or
did.
Are you a one-event guy?
So I did not this past Greensboro, but the one before. I did 2 tournaments. I did 2, and I did 4 matches in a day, and that was wild. 2 singles, 2 doubles, and that was rough.
Man, I love doing 2 events, but if there's any scheduling related stuff, it's not impossible. It's very, very difficult. If you know that you're going to have 1 singles, 1 doubles on say Friday night, then 1 singles, 2 doubles on Saturday, and then 2 singles, 1 doubles on Sunday. That's a lot of tennis in a weekend, right? But if then there's rain, or one of them gets pushed, or it's a full tournament, and so you actually have 2 and 2 on one day, which they're not supposed to do, but if you choose to play 2 events, sometimes it's going to happen.
And there's no rain. It was indoors.
Yeah,
it was indoors. That's just how it had to work. Yeah.
Totally. And so, look, if you're playing 4 matches in a day and you're doing well in all the events, at some point in time it catches up with you. So I feel like you either need small draws, which you have no control over, perfect weather, which you have no control over, or you have to be in insane shape, which I guess we have some control over, but,
how much
control do we really have? It's pretty hard. So I love doing it. It gets harder every single year to do 2 events, and I think I was scheduled to do 2 for Hollow Rock and scheduled to do 2 for Wilmington, and then I started getting a little bit of a shoulder twinge, not where it's hurt, not where it's really impacted me much, but it's enough that I feel like it would be nuts to do 2 events and put that much strain and pressure on it. If I knew it was going to be six people per draw and it was only be a couple matches, maybe I would do 2, but you just can't know that, and that's one of the tough things you got to decide when you're picking.
I can't remember. You've got 2.
I've got 2.
Okay.
Yeah, Hope is great. Shane is also very good. Hope Arrowwood, shout out to my PT. She fixed my shoulder the first time. Gonna have to fix it again.
Yeah. There's a guy who plays in Raleigh. He's got a PT. It's smart athlete, Jeff Vega. I pronounce everyone's name wrong. Jeff Vega. He runs it out in Raleigh. He used to be a trainer on the ATP. He still does go to events. Yeah, so I know a lot of guys go to him, and he's great. He goes in there, and Mon recommends him too. One of our other orthopedic surge guys. Anyways, getting off track. Yeah.
Speaking of events. Was really looking forward to recording this live on site at Hollow Rock with you. For the folks listening, Matt Nicholson, the tournament director and pro at Hollow Rock, who is just a total pro on the court, off the court, runs a great event, did a great job communicating in a difficult situation. Had said that he was going to be able potentially to join us and answer a few questions. When everything got rained out, we assumed that he had enough on his plate that we didn't want to bug him anymore. So just want to say to Matt, he put on a fantastic event. Wasn't his fault. Luck. To the folks listening, please don't give him too hard of a time. Like, nobody controls the weather.
It sucks. There's nothing. I know folks are upset, but what are you gonna? You got to put yourself in his shoes. Like, what are you gonna do? Isn't that Yeah, and
also, like, is it reasonable to expect people now take off work on Monday and Tuesday to play?
You can't do that. Yeah, that's impossible. Like, you've got, and they have stuff going on too. So you got to think about they have events, they have they just can't give up the courts. We've got league matches. It just doesn't. It's what happens. It sucks.
So a couple of things that we were hoping to talk about. I actually want to pull this up because I know at one point we discussed, if there were any questions that we wanted to ask Matt, and One that jumped out to me was, what are the economics of putting on a USTA tournament?
Be great.
Who's making money? Is anyone making money off this? I assume somebody is compensated some.
I can't imagine that they're making a lot of money. So when I thought about this, I was thinking, for Hollow Rock, this is a private club. They're a private club with a wait list of multiple years. So they don't really even need the marketing. So I'm thinking, how much money are they making? Maybe a couple $1,000s. Because then they have to give up the courts, so they couldn't use them. But I'm thinking, okay, maybe there's a couple $1,000s of like hard revenue, but I'm also thinking like maybe there's some marketing revenue, like some soft revenue. Yeah. But they have a 2-year wait list, so they don't even need marketing. There's no reason for marketing. So I just don't know. Maybe they're making a couple $1,000s, but for a private club, that just can't be a lot of money. So I think it seems like he's doing it. They're doing it because they enjoy it out of the kindness of their heart. Like, there's just not a lot of money in USTA tournaments.
But also, there's 21 events. I don't know how many players were in the Hollow Rock tournament off the top of my head. Let's just like assume it's 250. So it's a nice round number. Entry fees are $48 per event, right? And so like that's a meaningful amount of money. But when you think about getting the snacks, the waters, and the trophies, and the signage, and the USTA official, who I think does,
and
I assume has to be
USTA
compensated by somebody to be there.
For putting on their website,
USTA takes a cut. Licensing, of course. The USTA Mafia. The money goes fast, and I think I have certainly been guilty of being at a tournament, and there's been bad weather, and I've gotten cranky, and I've been like, when am I going to play? When am I going to play? I'm totally guilty of it. But the more time we've spent thinking and talking about what goes into this, the more I just want to say, like, guys, we got to give grace to the folks that are organizing these things. They're not getting paid a bunch of money, and they're spending a lot of time on it.
They're spending their weekends. These guys, they could have been, if he's a pro, he could have been making money teaching somebody. He could make way more money teaching somebody and doing all that. He just gave up his whole weekend. And it's not like us giving up a weekend where it's like, okay, I'm going to go play, but he's like, they're there the entire time. Like, that's literally their entire weekend.
And they're on standby, too. Yeah. This is another question that I think, I want to ask somebody who's run a tournament at some point. How many dumb text messages and questions do they get in a given day?
I can't imagine.
Like, stuff that's on the website that with any kind of research whatsoever would be available, do they get asked? Hundreds, I'm sure. Again, I've been the one asking the question. I'm guilty of all this stuff. We're not saints, Matt.
Yep.
We've done it. But yeah, I think what questions did you have about just kind of how the tournaments work?
I mean, it's just with rain. I just wonder why they do it. I wouldn't do it if I was at a club. It's just so much work.
Yeah.
And with the risk of rain, I mean, they must just enjoy doing it and enjoy getting everyone out there. I could understand more for a club that is like there isn't a wait list and they're like I think it's a great marketing. Like everyone gets to go to the club and see it and play there, and then they can go talk to people and see the pool. And that makes sense if you're a club that's like actively recruiting because you get people in there.
Right.
But for Hollow Rock, like they don't. I guess they could just make their wait list bigger, but that's what I would think where the big push is if you can get new members, that's where the big money is because one new member makes up for all that. That's where your money is your new members.
I mean, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, last year is when you
like
list
January,
after the Hollow Rock tournament, yeah? Okay, yeah. Last year is when I thought that I signed up for the wait list, and then I forgot to press send on the. I filled out the form, I saved it as a PDF, and then I forgot to send it off, and so whoopsie daisies. Hey, and quick plug to send those PDFs. It's not enough to just save it. Yep. Make sure you send it to the person that you're trying to have it sent to.
That is a pro tip.
That's a pro tip.
Yeah.
I hate to keep them back. It's just a bummer when stuff gets rained out, man. It just sucks. I think half the tennis community in the Triangle is disappointed and bummed out, and it's just one of those things. It's just tennis, I do wish that USTA in the southern region made a more concerted effort to have more indoor courts built. Granted, I recognize that these are going to be primarily at private clubs, but I look at Cary Tennis Park, right? They got a bunch of indoor courts, right? We have really, really limited options in Durham. And I would say we have far too few indoor courts in the Triangle broadly for how many people play them. I also think as it gets warmer in the summers, which it seems like it's on pace to do, it's not going to just be people wanting to play indoors because of rain. They're going to be like, hey, guys, it's 91 degrees at 8 in the morning, and it's 87 degrees at 9 p.m. at night. I need indoor courts to play. So I don't think that this is going to be the precipitating event to get more courts indoors built. But just as we need more public clay courts, I believe that we need more indoor courts. I'd love it if they were public indoor courts. And I think that there's some creative ways that cities could partner with developers or private entities to make that happen. And I think Cary Tennis Park is a great model for really anyone looking to build any kind of significant tennis facility anywhere.
So I'll agree with you that Cary Tennis Park is a good model. It's just tough when, unless it's a tournament, it's like, okay, we can't play today because it rained, but we can play tomorrow. Or when it's sunny out and it doesn't rain all day, if it just rains for an hour, then in the summer, then the court's dry. So I don't know. I have a tough. But Cary Tennis Park is a great model. They do have a few in there. There is supposed to be. I forget where it is. I was talking to someone. There's supposed to be a big. It's by Briar Creek, a big racket facility. I think they would have indoor courts. They're gonna have red clay courts.
Oh.
They're gonna have. Yeah, I forget what it's called.
Whoa! Is there red clay in the Triangle anywhere else, or this can be the first set of red clay
Raleigh
courts?
Racket Club has red clay. Oh, is it not?
I
I don't know.
I mean, so they have a carpet/rug,
okay,
and they have reddish clay stuff on it, and it's the closest we've got to red clay for sure. I don't know that it's quite accurate to call it red clay. It's like red clay adjacent.
Okay, well,
courts.
I guess this is supposed to be red clay. They're supposed to have pickleball. They're supposed to have paddleball. They're supposed to have ping pong. There's this one where you're it's a cage match, tennis match, if you've seen that. When you go to Chapel Hill Tennis Club, they have the cage match set up.
I can't
remember what it's
called.
called. There's a couple of different versions, but I just call it cage match tennis because that sounds more fun. But yeah, you're in a big cage, and so there's supposed to be but I don't know if it's actually going to happen. I forget who I was talking to about that.
Well, I mean, I'd love to know more about that development. I want to say it was some kind of testing facility for one of the big manufacturers, and I just want to say to anybody involved in that project, we will shill for you. We will shamelessly plug every single thing about that facility because as long as more courts are getting built, pretty much I'm cool with it. Unless they're building it in a really messed up place or in a really messed up way. Build those courts, baby.
Yeah,
build, baby, build.
There's somewhere by Briar Creek. I forget, which is a great location.
Yeah.
It's just central to everyone.
Where would they have to build courts for you to be like, whoa, that's not appropriate. Don't build courts there.
Well, I'm sure there's some Native American land around here somewhere where that wouldn't be cool.
That's definitely where we draw one
like
of the
your
lines.
standard, those kinds of things.
I'm gonna be real with you. If it's like just like a normal, like if it's just a cemetery and it's not Native American specific, and they want to digitize that and then build tennis courts there, I could probably live with that. I think I would.
Dead people's families first.
They don't mind. They're fine. Well, yeah, okay. Well, look. The dead people.
Check with them.
I guess how many generations removed from the dead
have
people?
To decide.
I
feel like there's other other than cemeteries that you could find.
I'm so sorry, but like, if I don't know where my great.
I don't know either. Yeah.
If they turn that site into a tennis tournament, as long as they like digitized it and resettled it, I'm so sorry, great grandparents. I think I'd be okay.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't have a problem, but
maybe.
There might be other people who may not be okay with that. But if we're on the topic of cemeteries, maybe there's a more economical way to do cemeteries if you want to go to that, because it does take up a lot of flat land.
Yeah. I know this is the Triangle Tennis Podcast, not the Global Cemetery Podcast, but the economics of that also fascinates me.
It's not very...
It's
go ahead, yeah.
Well, who are the clients after a certain point, right? It's like, you've been to like those beautiful old cemeteries, and it's like 1640 to whenever, and you're like, all right, well, are people still visiting? Like, I doubt it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the whole different thing. But yeah, I think I'm with you generally if you want to build more courts. That seems good. I think it's probably best to fix the courts we have too. And fix the lights. So that would always, but we've been down that road.
I played under brand new lights the other night at Chapel Hill Tennis Club. They've got one court with the crazy LED lights, and it's like playing in daytime. Man. And that was a cool. It was a cool experience to see just how good these lights can get. And then I heard the price tag, which I think is like $40,000 on them. It's like, oh motherfucker, that's not going to cut.
Do you know the price tag to plug another club? Chapel Hill Tennis Club has no wait list. It's actually cheaper than Hollow Rock, and there's a lot of cool dudes. I know you know a lot of cool dudes who are out there.
Oh
yeah.
I mean, it's a great crew over there. It's a little far. If you're in East Durham, which is where I am, it's about 30 minutes.
Exactly, it's 30 to it's 40 for me, and Hollow Rock's 25. So yeah, but I just wanted to plug them because they got a lot of cool dudes, and they do not have a wait list, and they've got a great pool and lots of clay courts.
Is there a club that you would opposite of plug? Do you want to start a beef?
No, it's just like I would never join. Like
there's none.
Like, oh, go ahead.
I'll do it. Tills, I don't get it.
The guys I've met there have been nice to me. I don't know. I know a lot of people hate on them, but I've had nice experiences with them.
I think it's kind of mid. I think it's overpriced.
Oh, sure. I would never join a country club. It's too expensive. I don't play golf.
It's also, little snooty. I'll say it, a little snooty. The whole vibe there. Not for me.
Everyone's been nice to me at the country clubs I've played at. It seems nice. But I would never. $40K initiation fee is a little steep.
That's ridiculous.
So,
golf is just look. I know plenty of our friends play golf. I get it. It sucks. It sucks. Do you really want to be a guy who golfs when you're 55? Do you want to be active?
I don't mind golfing. It's not something I'm going to do all the time, but I enjoy going out and playing. But it's not something I'm willing to pay $40K for.
I think like Top Golf is my speed.
Top Golf is fun.
I think if you can have lunch, 2 beers, and smoke a cigar while you're doing it and have no meaningful impact in your performance, I don't think it's like really a sport even.
Well, I don't know if that's the point.
And it's sort of like pickleball. I think golf is sort of like pickleball. Like maybe
I think you got to come out and play pickleball with us. I think you're gonna have to come out and play pickleball. I don't know because it can get intense.
This is not the Triangle Country Club Sports Pod. This is the Triangle Tennis Pod, and you can talk about pickleball on some other one. So we'll see. Well, listen, Matt, we've run through everything that we're here to cover. Is there anything else? Any closing thoughts? Any words of wisdom? Any ruminations that you want to leave the people with?
Start thinking about combo doubles is coming up for the fall. It's crazy. Sign-ups are a couple weeks away, so. Start thinking about your teams and get ready for that.
Oh, very cool. I think for me, summer singles is fast approaching. So summer singles is actually my favorite league every year. It's a nightmare with scheduling because people go. It's just really hot sometimes. There's more variables to me in summer singles than any other season, and I think it's really really tough to captain a team to victory. I do not know, Matt. that our Durham team is going to get there, but I believe that our team has the potential. And I also believe that Ryan Seiko's Cary team, which I'm also on, and no bias here whatsoever, is a bit of a sleeper and one to watch over in Cary.
We'll see. I think we're going to have a fun season. I'm just going to be really excited to play tennis again. So just being able to play tennis is my goal. So if we win, we win.
There we go. There we go.
That's okay.
I've got one more thing that I've got to say before we go. Christopher Green was on a heater. He was on a tear before he got rained out in the Hollow Rock tournament. And I think that there were a few other folks that were, I think likely on the path to a trophy, perhaps a win. I think there is no one that I was more certain was on pace to get to win their division than Christopher Green. And I just think it's such a bummer for him. But just want to say, fantastic run there. Ton of good triangle players with good performances, and I hope that we'll see a few of these makeup matches that are now going to be unofficial happen.
Yeah, and we'll see everyone in Wilmington.
Yeah, I mean, look, I guess we won't see everyone in Wilmington if they're pro cancer.
Yeah, I understand.
I'm anti-cancer, so I'm going to.
And I'm not even playing. Yeah, I'm not even playing, but I'm still going because I hate cancer that much.
You hate cancer.
I hate cancer that much. It really
That's so
is.
brave of
really
you. Wow, thank you. Let the record reflect, in our closing thoughts, the Triangle Tennis Podcast says fuck cancer. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you've enjoyed. We'll see you in Wilmington. Sorry everybody got rained out. That sucked.